The Psychic type has some of the most powerful and big-brained Pokémon of the entire franchise. However, Psychic types are generally pretty frail, and Dark-type Pokémon completely hard-counter the Psychic type. So, I wanted to see whether it was possible to beat all of Pokémon Scarlet using only Psychic types. Could we overcome the Dark-type demons of Paldea, or would we be crushed? Well, let's find out. Alright, sweetie, the nice man is here to make sure that you take your new medicine and... It is I, Magic Mike, Master of the Mind. Prepare to be dazzled by my psychic magic tricks. Please just take him away from me. Now, our first priority is to find our Psychic type starter, and unfortunately, none of these three are quite going to cut it. However, luckily, I have a plan, because with a little wave of my magic wand, I can pull a magnificent Psychic type out of my hat and... Oh. I knew I was forgetting about something. Okay, time for plan B. Thankfully, there is one Psychic type Pokemon that we can find on the early routes, our true starter for this challenge, Ralts. Despite the fact that this infant Psychic type has some pathetic looking stats for now, later on it'll evolve into either Gardevoir or Gallade. So let me know which of these two you would be choosing for your team. Subscribe for Gardevoir or like the video if you're a fan of Gallade. Regardless, for now, it's just us and our magic melon head. And our new starter was about to make a big debut as we headed for the gate of Mesagoza before being stopped by Nemona. Wait, your name is Magic Mike? Oh please, only kids believe in magic. Oh really? I'll show you just how powerful my psychic magic can be. Go, Ralts! Wow, very impressive magic, Mikey boy. My magic is real. Look, I'll heal up Ralts using only my magic psychic powers. See? Ralts has never looked better. With that, now we're able to enter the big city of Mesagoza. But quickly, we come across these weirdos. And just look at their outfits. I wouldn't be caught dead ever wearing anything that strange. Hey, you look like someone without any friends. Why don't you join Team Star? Team Star? Sorry guys, I don't really feel like joining a cult right now. Whoa, hang on. We're not a cult. We just prey on lonely and vulnerable students, forcing them to join our group and wear our exact uniform. That's not a cult. Welcome to the asylum, Michael. Why don't you introduce yourself? Alright audience, prepare to be amazed by my many magical powers. For my first trick, I will fix the FPS of my stuttering classmates. Okay, I guess even magic can't fix you guys. Anyway, now in Mesagoza, we're given our three main goals for the challenge of defeating the Titans, crushing Team Star, and obtaining all 8 gym badges. But these goals were not going to be easy, especially since I've added a bunch of extra challenge rules on top just to make things that much harder. So, with that in mind, after breaking out of the asylum, Magic Mike had to find some more Psychic types to strengthen up our team. Our first stop is the eastern side of Paldea, as it's here that we can find the adorable Psychic pig, Spoink. I absolutely love this bouncy little piglet and its pink pearl. However, I was absolutely horrified to learn that if Spoink ever stops bouncing, it literally dies? That is messed up. 1 like equals 1 extra bounce for our Spoink. Please, Spoink's life depends on it. But on top of our new Springy the Springfield mascot, we can also jump across to the west side of Paldea to find ourselves another magical monster, Bronzor. Not only is its secondary steel type a great addition to the team, but even better, I can use it to show off my magical skills. Look, it's levitating! My psychic abilities even scare me sometimes. Now we had our trio of psychic partners, as we descended upon the humble farming town of Cortondo. This area is home to the first gym, who we get to challenge after moving a giant olive. Pfft, that's a piece of cake for me. I'll move that olive in no time. Eventually, we're able to bring the olive to its goal, but while that gym challenge wasn't too bad, things were about to get very bleak for Magic Mike, because the first gym leader is Katy, who specializes in bug types. And while bugs are usually pretty easy to deal with, in this challenge, these guys are a nightmare. Since Psychic is weak to bug, we were being thrown in the deep end, as our first big fight is at a disadvantage. However, with our magic and 3 Psychic soldiers, we confidently stepped forward to square up against the bug-type Baker. Katy leads with her Nimble as we throw our floating disc into battle. And while Struggle Bugs gradually nerf our special attack, fortunately, our Bronzor holds strong, chipping away at the buggy pest over and over again with payback, which leads to our first KO of the fight. Although, next in is Tarantula. And while every other trainer in this region probably just sees this as a harmless little arachnid, for us, this thing is an absolute demon. I tried to get around it by confusing Katy's pet spider, but not only does it still land all of its attacks, but its assurance deals massive damage to our floating frisbee. And before long, Bronzor had fallen and the score was evened up. Although, after Spoink bounces onto the field, we take a big chunk of damage from a super effective bug bite. But Spoink bites back, finishing off Katy's second bug. And while this may now seem like a dominant 2v1 position, you couldn't be more wrong, because Katy's final Pokemon is her imposter bug, the Terra Teddiursa, and this thing is a powerhouse. As a result, Spoink is only able to land one Psybeam before our springy soldier is sliced in half by Fury Cutter. Alright, Rolts, our back may be against the wall, but you've got this. I believe in the power of magic, and... Oh. Well, never mind, I guess. Despite our best efforts, Katy's bugs destroyed our psychic types. Not just once, but twice. On both attempts, her Teddiursa was just way too powerful, as its Fury Cutters just dice up our team into Spoink sausages and a melon salad. After being absolutely decimated like that, I knew that we needed a boost. More specifically, an energy boost. Recently, I teamed up with GamerSupps to give you guys a ton of free samples of different flavors. If you managed to score some free samples, try it out and let me know in the comments which flavor you liked the most. But if you missed out on the giveaway, GamerSupps is basically a tub of energy. You add 1 scoop to water, stir it up, and voila! You've got a sugar-free, keto-friendly, energy-boosting drink that really does taste great. Over the last few months, I've mostly been using GamerSupps either before a workout or when I start to feel flat in the afternoon and need to boost up my energy and be more productive. If you're in a rush, it's a lot faster than making a coffee, and if you're trying to save money, a single serving of GamerSupps works out to be way cheaper than your typical canned energy drink. So far, my favorite flavors have been sour apple, as well as anime girl thigh. Yes, this is a real flavor, and no, I will not elaborate any further. Regardless, check out the full list of flavors on the GamerSupps website and use code KJ at the checkout to receive 10% off your order, while also directly helping to support the channel. GamerSupps, code KJ. Our psychic types were already struggling way more than I expected, with a fresh 0% win rate right now. But if we wanted to topple Katy's terrifying trio, we'd have to go searching for a solution. Thankfully though, I know exactly what to do. Teleportation, go! It looks like my calculations were slightly off. There we go. With our big brain psychic powers, we're able to teleport across Paldea. First, to get some essential TMs like Rock Tomb and Charm. Then, second, to slap around and bully a bunch of Lechonks and Scatterbugs in order to get the materials we need to craft a Protect TM. And with a now buffed up, bolstered, and bashful team of psychic types at our disposal, I was feeling confident as we once again stepped forward to take on Katy's gym. Round 3. Here we go. This time, Bronzor has Rock Tomb at its disposal, which comes in huge for us, as not only does it deal big super effective damage, but the additional speed drop means that we're only hit once before Katy's lead Nimble falls. Then, against her dark and demonic Tarantula, now we can use Charm with our little melon head, sharply nerfing Katy's attack. The combination of this, along with Draining Kiss to keep Rolls healthy, means that we're able to outlast the baker's assistant, leaving us only to deal with the head chef, Teddiursa. Although, despite being a 3v1, we're still not in the clear, because just like last time, its Fury Cutter deals enormous super effective damage, harvesting our melon. But despite that, by using Protect, we can break Teddiursa's momentum, preventing Fury Cutter from building up too much power. With Rock Tomb dealing some respectable damage, while also lowering the Teddy's speed, we were gradually chipping away at Katy's ace. And while Teddiursa does manage to claim another KO in the process, thankfully, by now, we had gotten it low enough for Spoink to bounce on in and utterly mind-crush the baby bear with Psybeam. With that, Katy's final Pokemon had fallen, and we had earned our very first badge. Although, this challenge was already proving difficult, and we haven't even had to deal with any of the dreaded dark types yet. However, that's a problem for later. For now, in search of our next goal, we teleport over to the Eastern Province, and on the way, we can recruit another psychic assistant onto the team, as it's here that we find Drowsy, a Pokemon whose favorite magic trick is making children disappear. As much as Drowsy won't be winning any beauty contests, it won't have to do much for now, as next, we step up to face the first Titan, King Claw. While this may be a Titanic-sized crab, Claw unfortunately has one crippling weakness: a fear of frisbees, because all it takes is a barrage of gyro balls from our floating friend to rip into the Titan like a Beyblade, grinding that crab down into dust within just a few turns. Wow, great job! You crushed that Titan. No problem, Arven. That's right, I already know your name since I can read minds. Impressive, huh? Dude, we already met like 3 minutes ago. I'm literally the one that gave you that Koraidon. I think it was just something about your aura that told me you were a little loser named Arven. Pretty amazing, right? With yet another fan enchanted by our psychic powers, we confidently charged into Artisan Town to tackle the second gym. We do have to go hunting for Tensun Flora across the town, but I'm sure we have a few of those at our disposal. I'm ready to start the gym fight now, thank you. Thankfully, with the help of our newest freaky friend, unlike Katy, this gym fight is pretty straightforward. Drowsy handles Petalil with a few dozen headbutts, before also stomping Brassius' Smoliv into a delicious oil. And even though Brassius tries to use the dark arts by getting 3 critical hits in a row with his Trudo Wudo, we have the numbers advantage to bully his Bonsai into the ground, giving us a very clean badge number 2. Despite the dicey start at the beginning of this challenge, our team had really started to build momentum, and there's truly nothing that could possibly slow us down. Now, let me just look into my crystal ball and... oh dear God. Despite dominating our last 2 fights, up next is one of the biggest hurdles in Paldea, Bombardier, a fast, powerful dark type with a huge HP bar, ready to utterly annihilate me and my psychic type team into the Shadow Realm. Fighting a regular dark type is bad enough, but fighting a dark type Titan is a nightmare. However, this is a hurdle that we have to clear if we want any chance of beating this challenge. Although, before we can take on the Titan, there's a bunch of giant boulders rolling down the mountain. Don't worry though, with my psychic powers, I can make any rock move out of our path. Just watch. After resorting to Plan B and dodging the boulders instead, we eventually reached the peak of Bombardier's mountain as it descended down ready for a fight. But maybe, just maybe, we can somehow pull it off and... lose. It was an absolute bloodbath. Even in a 4 versus 1, the numbers advantage means nothing, as this menacing Titan punches through every one of my psychic types like a hot knife through butter. But okay, maybe we just got unlucky. So naturally, I charged right back to the Titan for a rematch, and of course, we lost even worse this time. This fight wasn't going anywhere, with our team diced and ripped apart like bird food. Could this be the limit of our psychic type's powers in Paldea? No, of course not, and I have just the plan to prove it. Okay, this definitely feels like I took a wrong turn somewhere. After getting back on track, just outside the mountainous outskirts of Cortondo, we can find a new team member that'll make all the difference in this fight. Flittle, one of Paldea's newest psychic types, an adorably small ally who is just what our team needs. And so, with Flittle leading the pack, we once again climb up the mountain for one last fight. Round 3. Here we... okay, back to the drawing board. Our team was being decimated, and clearly, we needed a big power boost. Thankfully though, with a few extra levels, our pathetic little Ralts can finally evolve into something much more formidable, Curlia, who gets a nice stat boost to help make use of its fairy typing. So this time, when we take on the abominable big bird, things are very different. This time, Curlia can tank at least one of Bombardier's attacks before Draining Kiss hits the Titan hard. We don't have enough HP to survive a second hit, but this is still huge for us, as the combination of Draining Kiss, Nightshade damage from Spoink, as well as Rock Tombs from Bronzor can now put Bombardier into the red, finally getting us past the first phase. Although the second phase that immediately follows is just as scary for our battered team. But with the inclusion of Arven, this means that we can play much more defensively. Whilst our team is protecting and mitigating damage, his tiny Salt Rock is able to put in a shift, chipping away at Bombardier once again until one last smackdown mercifully crushes the flying felon. It took way too many attempts, but with that, we had finally crushed the second Titan. Let me guess, your name. It's Arvin, isn't it? I'm not doing this again. Come on out, Mavistiff, let's get your energy levels up. Oh, what's wrong, Arvin? Is he okay? No, he's been ill for a while now. I've tried all kinds of medicine, but nothing's worked. Ah, I know what's wrong. You're not trying to use magic, Arvin. Silly medicine has helped no one, but I'm sure I can heal Mavistiff with a quick spell. You said he was cold, right? Stay away from me and my dog. That was an incredibly difficult hurdle in our journey, but thank God we're past that dark demon. Well then, let's just see who we have to take on next, and... I hate this crystal ball. We've been thrown out of the frying pan and straight into the fire, as now we're tasked with vanquishing a cult. And unfortunately for our battered psychic types, this means that next we have to fight Giacomo, the dark-type demon boss of Team Star. We just can't catch a break right now. However, I had a plan, and it involves a little magical disguise to help us do some sleuthing. Sorry, who are you again? What do you mean? It's me, guys, not Magic Mike. I definitely hate magic, but I definitely don't hate dark types and/or cults. Somehow, the cult saw through my disguise, so we had to crush an entire barrage of dark types before Team Star's dark type cult leader finally emerged. And look, I know things don't seem too hopeful going into this fight, but thankfully, I'm proud to say that we didn't lose to the Starmobile. Because we lost to Pawniard. Seriously, like a knight in brooding armor, Pawniard clutched a pentakill against our team, making this one of the most embarrassing losses I've ever had in Pokémon Scarlet. And it wasn't just bad luck, because even in rematches, we still couldn't make much progress, losing to Giacomo's Pawniard every single time. No matter what we did, we just couldn't penetrate this pawn. Giacomo and his car were basically free to just sit back and relax while watching me get annihilated. After our psychic types had suffered a third hopeless loss, I knew that once again, we desperately needed to upgrade our team. And there's one recruit I have in mind that may actually help us. Hatena. Although this tiny psychic type may seem unassuming, with it eventually becoming a fairy once it evolves, this gives us some resistance against Giacomo's dreary darkness. On top of that, we also give our Spoink a hasty mint, dropping its defense in exchange for a slight speed boost. So with these two changes, I had the confidence to step up to Giacomo once more. This time, Spoink's extra speed already pays dividends, as now we can hit Pawniard with 2 Nightshades for significant damage. On top of that, our little Flittle is able to withstand a painful Fury Cutter before a combination of Disarming Voice and Quick Attack are able to finally put that Pawniard in the dirt. Now, all that's left is Giacomo's giant car, which surely won't be that difficult, right? Well, after it hit and runs our psychic chick, I was hoping that Curlia could put in work. Unfortunately though, Giacomo once again manipulates the dark arts because a wicked talk puts our ballerina to sleep straight away. Are you kidding me? This completely shuts down our plan as Curlia quickly falls. So, I guess it's time for plan B. Hatena, I choose you! It's hopeless, isn't it? With that, we'd suffered yet another loss in this challenge, and this truly feels hopeless. We've tried disguises, we've tried fairies, and we've even tried begging, but it's no use. Whatever we try, Giacomo just feels too powerful for our psychic types. Except, I have one more idea, because there's another Pokemon out there who isn't just a psychic type, but it's also a fighter as well, Meditite. A funny-looking monkey, but it's exactly what we need with the combination of the pure power ability and the fighting type. Oh my god, you're back again? Give it a break, loser. You can't beat us. Oh yeah? We'll see about that. This time, I lead with our new Meditite, who I was hoping would outspeed, but Pawniard still strikes first. Thankfully though, we still survive an Aerial Ace before a Force Palm from Meditite pounds that pawn into the mud. This leaves Giacomo with only his ace, but despite it being a 6v1, this fight is nowhere near safe. If we wanted any chance of beating this Dark-type demon, we would have to get a little cheesy. Giacomo's Starmobile has the ability Intimidate, while our Curlia has the ability Trace, meaning that every time we enter the battle, we intimidate the car right back at it. It's dicey and could go dangerously wrong, but with our huge disadvantage in this fight, it's the best we've got. So, after we repeat this process a few times, the car's firepower had been severely nerfed. This buys us some time to start chipping away at Giacomo, although it's still dangerous, as while we do gradually drain its HP, this monster is still destroying our frail psychic types in the process. Before long, the Starmobile was in the red as our Curlier goes down. This all leaves us in a 1v1, with Spoink staring down the gargantuan menace. Giacomo tries to Metal Sound, harshly reducing our Bouncy Pig's special defense, before a Nightshade leaves the Starmobile with only a slither of HP. We just need to survive one more super effective Snarl, and we do! Spoink clutches up, barely tanking a hit, before one last attack puts Giacomo's Starmobile out of service for good. We had been slapped around by those last two fights, putting us at double-digit losses. However, now we've overcome two Dark-type bosses, and I was feeling confident. Although, by no means was this challenge going to be easy from here, as there are still plenty of Psychic-type threats in our future. For now though, we can ditch the Dark-types and glide into the glamorous city of Levincia. And while the lights here are blinding, my attention is on something far more important, as it's in the outskirts that we can find ourselves the smartest, biggest brain encounter we're ever going to get in a Pokemon challenge. Slow. Yes, this high IQ Einstein-level thinker will be a huge asset, truly one of the great philosophers of our time. And while Slowpoke may be sitting on the bench for now, it does give us a much-needed morale boost as we head into the third gym. Oh god, you're here? Can't you go somewhere else to play pretend? Alright, Nemona, if magic truly isn't real, then how does Magic Mike know what number you're thinking of right now? Oh yeah? And what's that? 3, of course. No. 4? No. 5? No. Is it 3? Ugh, can we just battle already? While Nemona has decimated us so far in this challenge, this time things would be different, because now we have Metatype, whose Psychic fighting typing gives us a solid way of dealing with Nemona's Rocky Doggy, as well as her Electric Rat. And while her ferocious Florigato is still deadly, slicing through over half of our team single-handedly, thankfully, the numbers advantage means that we can eventually pound that kitty, finally giving us a win over Nemona. Ugh, you just got lucky, punk. You and your Psychic types are nothing but frauds. You were thinking of 3, right? No, I was not thinking of 3. We may have beaten Nemona this time, but she's only going to get more dangerous once her starter fully evolves into a menacing Dark type. Regardless, after that morale-boosting win, our Psychic types and I were ready for the next gym as we stepped into the Iono zone. Alright, Magic Mike, in order to challenge me, I need you to get some massive streaming numbers. Well then, for my next trick, I will escape certain death by... Oh god, the lock's jammed! Ah! Magic Mike, are you okay? What do you mean? Is there something in my teeth? Impressive magical feats aside, now we're able to battle the Stream Queen in a 4 versus 4. But unlike the Dark-type bosses that we've been dealing with so far, we don't have a bad type matchup here. So I was feeling incredibly confident as we stepped up to face Iono. And we still got crushed. Several times. Seriously, I can't believe how much Psychic types are struggling in Paldea. But once again, we have another huge obstacle in our path. Iono's Belly Bolt is so tanky and just eats our hits. But even worse, her Luxiono's Bite, which brutally chomps down on our team for super effective damage. Honestly, I couldn't believe that we were hard stuck again. I knew that Giacomo and Bombardier were going to be painful, but for us to also struggle against Iono was the final straw. Our Psychic types were getting slaughtered out there, and we needed to start fighting back. So, in need of more power, I trekked all over Paldea, finding and crafting a ton of new TMs. Then, after tapping into my full, big brain psychic energies, I had assembled a new plan, centered on our special floating frisbee as we once again attempted to rematch Iono. This time, we take advantage of the streamer's goofy bird, as sparks from Wattrel don't do a whole lot, especially after we start boosting our physical bulk with iron defense. This works perfectly, as before long, we're at +6 defense, before firing off rock tombs to bring Wattrel to the brink of death. And after using rest to heal up our frisbee, we can quickly secure our first KO of the fight. While Iono's Luxio and Belly Bolt seem scary, thanks to the combination of our boosts, as well as Bulldoze and Rest, we can slowly chip away at the deadly electric types, eventually picking up both KOs with our floating metallic psychic type. We'd finally pushed Iono's back against the wall. However, we still have one big problem. Mismagius, an incredibly deadly Pokemon which becomes even more menacing after it terastallizes. Immediately, our ace is crushed by Hex, and Mismagius was preparing to sweep through the rest of our team. Still, we had to try. Next, we bring in the felon, Drowsy, and thankfully, we get some luck as Iono opts to use Confuse Ray. However, our freaky-looking banana fights through the confusion to land a poison gas, effectively putting Mismagius on a timer. And even better, Drowsy tanks a Hex like it's a Giga Chad on the following turn, allowing us to also set up a light screen. These two moves are massive, as now Iono's ace is enormously nerfed. This all clears the way for Meditite to come on in, hit itself in confusion, because of course, and then force palm the ghost right back into the dirt. These early game fights have been incredibly dicey, but somehow we prevailed, earning us gym badge number 3. Well, if it isn't the famous Magic Mike. I must say, as the champion of Paldea, you're really impressing me in this gym challenge. Aw, thanks champ. But you haven't seen nothing yet. Here, I'll show you something way cooler. I can bend spoons! Pretty cool, huh? Our next big fight is against Mela of Team Star, and I'm determined not to have a repeat of the hellish nightmare that was Giacomo. Thankfully, to help us in avoiding that, at this point in the run, we can recruit some absolute creeps onto our team. First, with the new level cap, our freaky-fingered Drowsy can evolve into something far more sinister, Hypno. I don't know where it got its pendulum, and nor do I want to know. On top of that, on the outskirts of Levincia, we can fish up another psychic water type, Brassius. Good God, you are hideous. It almost feels like a crime against nature, but regardless, it's a powerful physical attacker, which is hard to come by for a psychic team. So we begrudgingly accept our new fish. But with the help of our new duo that are definitely not allowed within 50 feet of a school, the upcoming fight against Mela is thankfully pretty manageable. Most of our squad team up to help take out her lead Torkoal, before an onslaught of Aqua Jets from our newest freaky fish are all we need to smash her Starmobile. Too easy. Clearly, this cult couldn't stand up to our power of magic. And unfortunately for any Orthworm fans in the chat, the next Titan was just as helpless. Meditite's high jump kicks deal enormous damage to the metallic worm, ending the oversized insect in just 2 moves. Oh, poor Mabastiff. I'm praying for a miracle to help you out, little buddy. Ha! Who needs a miracle when you have magic, Arvin? Here, let me try another spell. You said you wanted Mabastiff to fly, right? While Arvin is spacebound to collect his friend, we head to the city of Cascaratha, home of the 4th gym leader, Kofu. Turns out this guy is a master magician. Just look at his disappearing act. Truly one of the all-time greats. While chasing down the big man though, we fortunately find something incredibly useful, Giraffarig. It's an adorable giraffe with an unsettling tail, but it also has an incredibly useful psychic normal typing, making it a very valuable pony. Anyway, after chasing down the big, magical man, it was time to take him on in battle. Not only to try and earn our next badge, but also to find out which of us is truly the better magician. Kofu carries a pair of fish and a pet crab, so we mirror match with our own 2 aquatic animals, as well as Giraffarig, my 3rd favorite sea creature. After preparing for the biggest fight of our life, we stepped up to Kofu, and it was a total wash. Brassius, despite its massive flaw, is actually surprisingly great. True crunches rip through Kofu's lead Veluza, and while a headbutt from Wugtrio does solid damage, our Triggerfish clutches up with a big crunch crit. Even though our speed is lowered by Wugtrio's ability, we can still outpace Kofu thanks to a priority Aqua Jet, sending Wugtrio to the Shadow Realm and leaving Kofu with only his ace Crabominable. It may be a scary, strong crab, but Brassius gave us such a huge lead. As such, our trio all worked together to wear away at the Yeti Crab's HP, before one final chomp from Brassius is all we need to crush Kofu's crab. With that win, having established our magical dominance, we shrunk Kofu down to size, while also earning our 4th gym badge. Now we've made it halfway through our gym challenge, and while it's been a struggle for our psychic types to make it this far, the fruits of our efforts were finally starting to blossom, because at this point in the run, a bunch of our Pokemon can evolve, starting with our tiny Hatena, who evolves into Hatchram. Our floating frisbee becomes the Big Bell, Bronzong, and our bouncy Spoink finally escapes its perpetual bouncing fate by evolving into the jolly, friend-shaped Grumpig. 3 big evolutions that'll help massively in the fights to come. Alright Magic Mike, enough's enough. It's time for you to return to the asylum and start taking your medication again. Never! I've got a cult to stop, and I need to keep spreading my magic all over Paldea. I hate my job. Fortunately, our next fight is against Atticus of Team Star, and since he specializes in poison types, this makes him the perfect punching bag for our psychic types. In no time at all, his toxic team were mind-crushed, spat on, and thrown into the trash like it was nothing. With all of those losses now firmly behind us, our momentum was finally starting to build as our squad was shaping up into something fierce. And this would only continue as next we traverse to the city of Medali, where the 5th gym leader was waiting. Before we can challenge the king of the normies though, first we have to order the special menu item. Hey wait, how do I know what to order? By challenging other trainers of course. They're scattered all around Medali, so be sure to challenge them all. Nah, that's a waste of time. I'm just gonna read your mind instead. I'm ready for the gym fight now. Larry's team is tough, but thankfully our team also receives another upgrade with the help of some new evolutions. The first of which is our baby chick, who finally evolves into the psychic type ostrich Espathra, a decently strong Pokemon in its own right, yet pales in comparison to the next one. For a long time, I wasn't sure which curlier evolution I wanted, but by this point I knew exactly who our team needed: Gallade, the Psychic Knight whose added fighting type makes it an incredibly powerful and useful member of the team. So, with our newly evolved duo and Psychic Monkey, I felt like victory was all but guaranteed as we stepped up to tackle the normal type leader, Larry. Unfortunately, I was wrong. This fight starts out straightforward enough as a simple high jump kick from Meditite punts Larry's Kamala into next week. However, then the Dunsparce emerges and this thing is an absolute menace. Meditite misses its high jump kick this time, which, great job dude, much appreciated. But the Giant Slug's ability to paralyze us with Glare, as well as do big damage with Hyperdrill, means that it can cut through my newest evolutions with total ease. Seriously? We lost to the Dunsparce? Just as it felt like we were building momentum in this challenge, Pokémon Scarlet had quickly brought us back down to Earth. Regardless, I was determined, and so, yet again, marched right up to Larry for a rematch. The fight starts out similar, but this time, Meditite doesn't falter, hitting to Dunsparce for big damage before falling. And this makes all the difference, as now, Gallade can comfortably slay Larry's slug with a Sacred Sword. His Staraptor Ace is a pretty terrifying matchup for Gallade, since it has access to a flying-type move in Aerial Ace. However, this time, we have Bronzong in the back instead of Espathra, and our Giant Bell can tank hits much better. As such, we're able to land a series of bulldozers which have the added effect of lowering Staraptor's speed, after which, with one last super effective Sacred Sword, Gallade slices Larry's ace into its grave, securing us the win and our 5th badge. Wow, Magic Mike, you really are a skilled Pokemon trainer. Thanks, Gita, but if you thought that was impressive, just wait until I show you my magical abilities by bending 2 spoons. Don't waste your time on him, Gita. He's a disillusioned, psychotic freak. Nemona, relax. If you wait patiently, I'll bend some spoons for you too. Out of annoyance, and possibly jealousy, Nemona forces us into a fight in front of Gita. We're stuck with the same team we used against Larry, meaning that this fight is a 3-on-4. Despite that, high jump kicks from Meditite go absolutely wild, decimating her first 3 Pokemon, all in a single shot. This is way too easy. Go on, Nemona, show me your last pathetic Pokemon. Oh dear god. Nemona finally decided to unleash her Meowscarada, a fully evolved grass and dark type that exists solely for the purpose of making my team suffer. Fortunately, it doesn't actually know any Dark-type moves yet, so it's not overly dangerous at the moment. Regardless, it still managed to slice through 2 of our Pokemon before it finally went down, giving us the win. This thing will be absolutely terrifying down the line though. On the plus side, Nemona had been crushed, and our Meditite also reaches its final form, evolving into the super cool Medicham. If Magic Mike can't wow you with his magic, his psychic fighters will just use their fists instead. Despite struggling against Larry and Nemona, things don't get any easier for Magic Mike, as our next gym fight is a double battle against Ghost types. Yet another one of the Psychic type's weaknesses. Magic Mike seriously can't catch a break, can he? So we ascended up to the spooky, mountainous town of Montenevera, where one of our deadliest opponents was waiting. However, we have a deadly trick up our sleeve. Sorry, I meant my other sleeve. Ah, there we go. It's at this point of the challenge that our Giraffarig can evolve into its new form, the Ridgiraffe. Not only does our upgraded giraffe have an increased height and increased stats, but its normal psychic type combo also makes it an honorary Ghostbuster, since it's not affected by ghost type attacks. So, determined, we ride on into battle with our team of 4 psychic types to try and conquer the ghost type master, Ryme. We don't have many great options, so I just opt to lead with our Ridgiraffe and Gallade. Ryme's Mimikyu and Houndstone deal solid damage with their priority moves of Shadow Sneak and Sucker Punch, but we're able to fire back by ganging up on Ryme's Fairy as the combination of Psycho Cut and Twin Beam bring Mimikyu below half health. Then, on the following turn, Ridgiraffe clutches up, barely tanking both a Sucker Punch and Slash. This means that we're able to finish off Mimikyu while also crippling Banette. What's more, the crowd goes wild for our magical powers, boosting up our attack power. And this boost is huge for us, as now, a single Night Slash is all we need to burn through Houndstone before Ridgiraffe finishes off Banette, bringing the fight down to a 4v1. Ryme doesn't go down without a fight though, taking out our Gallade after terastallizing. However, our numbers advantage is just too much for Ryme to overcome, as we quickly overpowered one of the scariest trainers in the entire region on our first try. Having conquered yet another one of the psychic type's weaknesses, our confidence was booming, and this momentum was only set to continue, as next up is the 4th Titan, Great Tusk. Let me ask you this. Who would win? A gigantic, prehistoric beast capable of causing earthquakes with its feet, or a chubby pink hippo with an IQ that you can count on 0 hands? Okay, next question. Who would win? The same gigantic prehistoric beast, now angered and replenished by an uber-powerful Herba Mystica, or a jolly pink pig that bounces on its tail? Oh god, please just leave me alone, Mike. I don't want you or your magical help anymore. Okay, Arvin, I understand. And look, to make amends, I've brewed up this healing potion for Mabastiff that I wanted to give to you. Wait, really? Thank you so much. Mabastiff, let's hope this helps you get better. It heals all kinds of colds. With another satisfied customer, now we turn our attention towards a real mirror match, as the upcoming gym leader is Tulip, who also specializes in the psychic type. So we were going to have to think outside the box if we wanted to gain an advantage. We'd need to find a Pokemon that can give us that winning edge. We needed to find a dung beetle. Relom might be less cerebral and more focused on rolling in its own poop, but after a quick 1,000-mile hike through the desert, our little bug reaches a higher power, transforming into the wise and floating psychic bug, Rabska. It's taken a lot for us to negotiate a peace deal with the bug type, but those are exactly the kind of lengths that we'd need to go if we were going to face up against a team of fellow psychics. Tulip's brand of magic is a bit more flirtatious, but that doesn't distract us as we square up for a magic on magic matchup. Immediately, both of us have the exact same idea, as our Brassius and her Ridgiraffe both exchange crunches for big damage. Thankfully though, our fish is faster, outspeeding on the next turn to draw first blood. Brassius is then only able to land one crunch onto Gardevoir before Tulip evens the score. This sets us up to create an epic showdown between the two Ralts' final evolutions, and while Gardevoir does outspeed, our Gallade tanks it like a king before reigning supreme with a Shadow Claw that crushes its distant cousin. Tulip's Onospatra is pretty much walled against our Ridgiraffe, meaning our giraffe can chew on some fried chicken, leaving Tulip with only her ace, Florges. And while it can fire off some powerful moonblasts, our Sage Bug makes a stunning debut, bug buzzing Tulip into the mud. With that win, we were on a hot streak. That's 7 gyms down and 1 to go, leaving only Grusha and his ice types. However, I've got a perfect plan for that, because after catching ourselves a fiery little Charcadet and slapping some auspicious armor on that bad boy, we can immediately evolve it into Armarouge. This guy is so sick. It's got a literal cannon on its arm, plus an amazing fire psychic type combo, as well as some incredible stats too. So, with our new Mega Man on the roster, we stepped up to face Grusha. but it wasn't even close. The firepower of our team is just far too strong before one last flamethrower from our Armarouge melted down his Altaria into nothing, giving us the win, and now we had burned our way through the gym challenge. Oh my god, how did you manage to get this far? I keep telling you, Nemona, it's the power of my magic. Ugh, that's it. If no one else is going to stop you, then I'll just have to demolish you myself. You were thinking of the number 3, weren't you? Will you quit it already? That's one of the main goals conquered, leaving us to tackle the other 2. The first of which will be finishing the final Titan, Dondozo and his little Maki roll. In the first 2 phases, against the enormous catfish, our Gallade showcases his skills as a sushi chef with a barrage of leaf blades comfortably slicing through the big fish in a few turns, crushing both phases. However, against the more formidable dragon, we have another Pokemon in our back pocket to take down Tatsugiri, our newly evolved Hatterene. With it finally getting its secondary fairy typing, our most magical looking magician is able to fire off stab dazzling gleams for huge damage, cementing itself as our team's resident Dragon Slayer. And, none of you freaks in the comments better say anything weird about this. Mabastiff, you're finally back to normal. It's a miracle. Oh, that's so nice, Arvin. It truly is magical, don't you think? Oh, please. All your magic did was cause pain and suffering to my Dark-type dog. Did you say Dark-type? I spent all this time making healing magic for a Dark-type? I can't believe it. Arvin pulled the wool over our eyes and was secretly a Dark-type villain this whole time. But we'll deal with this disgusting betrayal later. For now, we have to focus on the last major task for this challenge, and that's toppling the remaining pillars of the Team Star cult. Magic Mike, please, listen to me. At the Academy, we've got some delicious magic health pills for you to try. You should definitely take them instead of bothering trainers across the region. Never! I'll cast 1,000 spells before I let this cult stop me from making magic all over Paldea. I really should have taken that Blueberry Academy transfer. Our next fight is against Ortega of Team Star, and he's easily one of the toughest trainers we've come across so far. However, we're not the same weakling that we once were back when we got decimated by Giacomo. Now, we've got some of the strongest psychic types in Paldea, and all the momentum was on our side. As such, while this fight is by no means easy, our team were able to hold their own as we gradually traded Pokemon back and forth with Ortega. Eventually, he was left with only the Starmobile, which could easily run right through our team. However, thankfully for us, we have our Knight in Flaming Armor. Armarouge is crucial here, as it fires off massive flamethrowers for big damage. And with fire being the natural nemesis of fairies everywhere, Ortega's pimped up ride is helpless as we melt it down into scrap metal within just a few turns. Ortega had been crushed, and we had truly ascended, from our humble beginnings in Dark-type Hell to wiping out the penultimate Team Star boss. And our revenge tour on the cult of Team Star wasn't done yet, because the final boss remaining is Eri, and unfortunately for her, she specializes in fighting types, who we have a great matchup against. And things were about to get even worse for Eri, because we were about to cap off our team with our final encounter of the run, Espeon, a powerful psychic soldier who we would definitely be bringing to our battle with Team Star's last cult leader. Eri, seriously, we've got to get this guy back into the asylum. His so-called magic is scaring the children of Paldea. Don't worry, Clive, leave it to me. Hey, Magic Boy, you might have beaten the rest of my teammates, but there's no chance you can stop me and my fighting types. My fighting types! Alright, Eri, now start talking. Why are you running a cult? And more importantly, why do you hate me and my magic? Is it jealousy? Because I can bend spoons? We're not running a cult. We were recruited to bring you back into the asylum so you can finally be fixed. Magic isn't real, Mike. It's all in your head. What? You heard me right. Team Star is a squad of skeptics who want to bring you to justice. And if you want to know anything else, you'll need to meet with our leader in Misagoza, who will finish you once and for all. I don't believe it. Nemona, Arvin, and even the boss of Team Star all doubt my magical powers and want me locked up. However, this injustice would not stand. Along our journey through Pokémon Scarlet, we've accumulated some of the strongest, biggest brain psychic types, and now it was time for Magic Mike to fight back. Alright, Magic Mike, I'm done with you. Mabistiff is healthy again now, and he wants revenge for all those horrible things you did. Prepare to be bitten. Oh, don't worry, Arven. I've been bitten plenty of times before. All I can see now is yet another dark type that I need to put down. Arven's team may include a terrifying Terra Dark Mabistiff, but thankfully, the rest of his squad is far more manageable. Our Metacham is single-handedly able to take out half of his team with its fighting prowess, before Espeon shows off its gardening capabilities, trimming down his grass types, Toadscruel and Scovillain. However, the speed and power of Arven's best friend cannot be understated, as it starts ripping through our team with a combination of Crunch and Play Rough. Despite that, we have the number advantage, as well as Hatterene. Our Fairy-type magician not only slays dragons, but also isn't weak to dark types. As such, with one last dazzling gleam, we can crush Arven's ace, finishing him off. And, as punishment for all his anti-magic propaganda, I'll leave him with one last parting spell. Good luck catching him, Arven. All things considered, Arven got off pretty lightly, because Team Star were about to face a much more chilling fate. Look, Magic Mike, I can explain everything. Why don't you go back to the asylum and see if we can talk this out? Sorry, Clive. My Gallade just wants to bend spoons and break necks, and I'm all out of spoons. Wait, Clive? Is that you? Clive is no longer here, Penny, and now you and your cult are going to feel the true wrath of my magic. Despite Penny's mastery of the dark arts, she has a pretty balanced team filled with powerful evolutions. As such, we need to be on our A-game to finally topple this cult. Her lead Umbreon might also be a dark-type dog, but its low speed means that two close combats immediately crush her moon puppy. Flareon is next, and despite resisting fire, our Bruxish still takes big damage on entry. Regardless, our fish is fearless, wiping out the fuzzy fireball with a super effective wave crash. Jolteon hits the field next, and this thing is a threat. Somehow, Penny just keeps on landing her thunders, which wipes both our Bruxish and Armarouge off the map without breaking a sweat. However, thankfully, we have an evolution of our own to stop us from getting completely swept, as two Psychics from Espeon is all it takes to finish off the thundery dog. And from here, our team had all the momentum. The rest of Penny's team put up very little resistance, with Slowbro mind-crushing her ace Sylveon, giving us a dominant win over the true cult leader. Despite everything Team Star tried, we reigned supreme over that cult of skeptics, and their punishment? To vanish. With another wave of our wand, every single member of Team Star disappears, left to sit in a corner of the world and think long and hard about their actions. With two of our opponents now out of the picture, that leaves our one true hater, Nemona, who's been a non-believer since day one. But before we can put her in her place, first, we'd have to take on the Pokémon League, home to some of the strongest trainers in the entire region that our psychic types would have to overcome. Alright, Magic Mike, it's time for your Pokémon League assessment. First question, how did you get here today? I teleported, obviously. How else would you get around? I'm sorry to say you failed. After a quick re-examination, we were clear to tackle the Elite Four. But, to be honest, these Elite Four fights were all pretty straightforward. Slowbro surfed over Rika's squadron of ground types, Armarouge left Poppy's steel types in a melted puddle, we froze over Larry's team of birds with Ice Spinner and Ice Beam, and Hassel's dragons were dazzled by Espeon and Hatterene. We barely broke a sweat, and with the Elite Four quickly left in our rearview mirror, now we had our eyes on one last trainer standing between Magic Mike and Nemona. Okay, Mike, you've had your fun, but I'm the top champion of this region, so it's time for you to stop bending spoons and start taking your medication again. Prepare to return to the asylum and... Seriously, Geeta? You lost to him? What can I say, Nemona? This guy's a maniac. He even bent every single spoon in my kitchen. Ugh, this is unbelievable. I'm gonna show this freak, once and for all, that he's no magician, he's just a fraud. Now, it was finally time. Nemona has antagonized us for this entire challenge. While we have had the upper hand in our last few fights, now she has a powerful team of Pokemon, including her ace, the deadly Dark-type Grass Magician. So, after assembling our strongest psychic team possible, we marched into Mesagoza, ready to demonstrate our magical strength. Already, Nemona starts the fight cocky as she sets up Stealth Rock on turn 1 with Lycanroc, leaving Slowbro free to drown out her Rocky Doggy with a single serve. Then, against the Electric Menace Pawmot, it fires off a massive double shock at our chubby Hippo. But we survive! What a king! This clutch lets Slowbro counterattack with Psychic, which destroys Nemona's Rodent, putting us in a commanding spot. In a cruel twist of deja vu, however, we're tormented by Dunsparce once again as it finishes off our Slowbro. But I wasn't going to let that slide, because Gallade can hit the field next and immediately pummel that slug for revenge. And the Orthworm that follows on the next turn suffers the exact same fate too. Fifth in is Goodra, who I try to topple with our Fairy. But since Goodra has access to the move Sludge Bomb, our Psychic Fairy loses the 1v1. Although Bruxish can swim in next and chomp on Goodra with an Ice Fang to finish off Nemona's pseudo-legend. We were in a commanding position. However, Nemona still had her Meowscarada ready to unleash. With an ultra-powerful Grass Terra type and diverse moveset, this thing could obliterate my team with just a click of its fingers. And immediately, I can feel a sense of dread, as Meowscarada wastes no time in starting to rip through my team. Well, that is, until our knight in fiery armor stepped up once again. Because Armarouge, the absolute Chad, somehow tanks a super effective Shadow Claw before firing off an enormous armor cannon, incinerating the Dark Magician where it stood. With that, we had conquered Nemona in front of everyone. And now, we'll make sure that she never badmouths our magic ever again. Alright Nemona, Mind Crush! This run has been a wild ride, but we had finally exacted revenge on all our opponents, spreading the power of magic and psychic types all over Paldea. And look, I've even received a letter asking me to perform my magic in the depths of Area Zero. Finally, fortune is starting to favor us. Welcome, Magic Mike. Wait, how do you know my name? Were you the one who booked me to perform my famous spoon-bending live show? Unfortunately, Mike, this is an ambush. I've been hired by the Paldean government to finally lock you up, psychotic freak. Wait, what? Now, only one last fight of Pokémon Scarlet remained, against Sada and her team of ancient Paradox Pokémon. But our team has been absolutely dominating lately, so you might expect this to be easy, right? Wrong. So wrong. Sada's team might have just been made in a lab specifically to take down psychic types, because it is stacked with bug, ghost, fairy, and dark type Pokemon, basically combining all of our weaknesses onto one single team. Slitherwing can hit hard with Lunge and Leech Life, Brute Bonnet can sucker punch our team with priority, Screamtail is a defensive machine that resists our psychic moves, and Fluttermane is just a downright demon. It is so fast and so powerful that it can wipe out our entire team all by itself. I tried this fight again and again, only to end up obliterated each and every time. Even on my luckiest attempts, where we miraculously make it through Sada's first 5 Pokemon, then she whips out Roaring Moon. Yeah, the Dark-type dragon that also gets an attack boost on entry. This thing is a nightmare and just slices through the rest of our team. This fight is so tough, and I lost more to Sada than anyone else before her. Despite everything we'd gone through so far, this final hurdle was just too much. So, jump into this video next for more Pokemon content, and wait, hang on. I still have one more idea to try. So, after teleporting one more time, I've really got to stop doing this. After purchasing some valuable items, as well as sourcing some new TMs, we had assembled a new plan to try and tackle Sada. Could our Psychic type somehow overcome the final boss of this challenge? Well, let's find out. Sada's lead Slitherwing is scary with its bug type, but it's also a fighting type. This makes it somewhat susceptible, as with the help of a held Twisted Spoon, Espeon can blow the moth away to give us the early lead. This summons the monstrous Fluttermane, but just like against Ryme, Farigiraf is a top-tier ghost counter. It's immune to Shadow Ball, and our newly learnt Iron Head means that we can do big damage to the Fairy before just barely outpacing its Thunderbolts for the KO. Third in is Brute Bonnet, and we don't have much of an option outside of letting our Giraffe go down. But it was an absolute godsend for us in this fight, and it's this sacrifice that allows us to safely bring in Gallade, who immediately squashes the Sushroom with close combat. Next in is Screamtail, who can be annoying to deal with, but luckily for us, we have our Big Bell. And I forgot to teach it any Steel-type moves. Whoops. Still though, Bulldozers, combined with our Rocky Helmet, help us to gradually chip away at the ancient Jigglypuff, eventually taking down the prehistoric Puffball and leaving us in a 5v2. Despite that, we're still not in the clear, as Sandy Shocks is still a problem, taking down both our Bronzong and outspeeding our Bruxish to even the score. Fortunately though, our Sun Pokemon shines through, as a Psychic finally decimates Sandy Shocks, leaving us in a 3 versus 1. That one, however, is Sada's Roaring Moon, the Dark-type menace, and it wants blood, as with a single Night Slash, our Espeon is absolutely crushed. This is looking ominous. We still have 2 Pokemon left, as next in line is Armarouge. Our Fiery Knight does survive a Stone Edge, but Armor Cannon isn't very effective. So while we can do some decent damage, Armarouge can't withstand another hit, bringing the fight down to a 1v1. We're left with only our starter, the melon-headed Psychic type that has been broken down at every turn. But this time, we have a Choice Scarf, and that speed boost gives Gallade exactly what we need, as a close combat pummels Roaring Moon back into the past, clutching up to deliver us a huge win. With that, we'd finally beaten Pokémon Scarlet using only Psychic types. Jump into this video next for more Pokemon content, and let me know which Psychic type is your favorite in the comments below. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.